Okay, hello. I'm live and a few minutes late, but that's pretty normal for me. Okay, I'm going to wait just a minute till we get some people in here and then we'll get started with our memory wrap Bolo bracelet. Let's see here. All right. Hey, Deb, I'm gone. I'm here. I'm here. Hi, Carol. Hi, Sue. All right. I see people are coming in. Hey, Mary. Oh, you're hanging out with your dad today, huh? I'm gonna head over there later. Maybe I'll see you later. Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Susan. Okay, people are coming in. Great. All right. As you know, I've been kind of missing in action for a while, and I'm back. But my thoughts are still pretty scattered, so please bear with me. Hey, Nancy. Um, okay, so we're gonna make this memory wrap bolo bracelet that I had made kits for, and a lot of you bought the kits, so we're gonna assemble them together. They're pretty darn easy, really. Um, I thought what I might do is just take it from the top on how I put the kits together and just walk you through all the steps. You don't have to do this because your kit's already prepared. But in case you want to make more of these, I will put the all the resources of where I bought this stuff. I pretty much got everything on Etsy, just a few things I got on Amazon. You may or may not have some of this stuff already, but I will post all of those resources for you in case you want to make more of them. And I thought I would demonstrate how I put the leather on the wire so that you see how that was done. Uh, Thanks, Deb. Yeah, I made this like many moons ago, and it just kind of sat in a drawer. And I always thought it was too big, and now you see these big honking things, and I thought this isn't big at all. So I started wearing it again. All right. Let's see here. So first off, I'm going to start with the leather. I had purchased this leather on Etsy, which I will give you the resource for. But the thing to look for when you're buying this is Bolo cord, but I know that they make Bolo cord, other Bolo cords. I've never used it for anything before, but because I'm inserting wire through this, you have to make sure if you buy Bolo cord that it has a hollow core. A lot of Bolo cord is solid. It's just, I guess, braided solid. So you won't be able to pass a wire through that if it's solid. So that is first and foremost important with the leather. Okay. And the memory wire comes in lots of different lengths. This is, I believe, 2¼ inch diameter. There is also 2½ inch diameter. Either one is fine. You know, one is just a 1/4 inch smaller than the other. Um, but I think you got 2¼ in your kits. Not positive. All right. And you need 5 wraps or 5 complete circles of the wire. There's a couple of things that are a little tricky when you're calculating this stuff. And I don't know if I got it right. I'm hoping that I got it right for all the kits. Um, but you have a start and a stop point where I'll take this off first. This is how you take these off, and the same way to put it on. So you have all these different loops. You have end caps on the leather, which yours already has in your kit. These little silver caps on here. All right. So when you're constructing this, when you're putting it together, you want to make sure that that leather portion is in the middle of all your spirals. So there's that you have to kind of, keep an eye on that. And it can move around. So you want to make sure that you keep that centered, where you have your two end caps kind of centered in between. That would be like the middle of the 5 loops of memory wire. Okay. So, and then you're going to have your cutoff points, the start and stop, and you want to, I would think you'd want to make sure that they're as close together as possible. But when you put the beads on, it kind of stretches out a little bit. So I'm just going to say good luck. And I mean that by when you're putting it on, let's see, let me just wrap it around. I've never really worked with memory wire much, very, very little, and it's been a long time. So when you put it on, you kind of want things to line up as much as possible. You don't want the end loops. See, how can I show this to you? The end loops, you don't really want visible. You kind of want it on the bottom of your wrist. Okay. You want to be able to see all the beads on the top and the other stuff on the bottom, the connectors. I don't know if that's clear or not. Hey, Patty. So you're going to have to do your best to line things up, and I'll walk you through that. This one, I just did this morning, and I ran out of tube beads. I've got everything else extra, but I ran out of the tubes. So I had bought a couple of extra tubes, strands of tubes, but they're all in this one color. So that's what I'm using for my demo today, just because I didn't buy any extras of the multicolor. I should have. So anyway, you're going to have a wrap of the tubes, then a wrap of the seed beads, then your leather, then your seed beads, and then your tubes again. Okay, so all right. Hi, Suni. Can I talk about how I got the leather on the memory wire? Yes. That's a little dicey, and let me tell you, I did like, I don't know, 48 kits of this. So I did this a lot. All right, so like I said, there's a hollow core, and when you cut this leather kind of comes apart just a tiny bit. So when you're putting your caps on that, I'll show you how you do that. Okay. Hi, Patricia. All right. Do I mean millimeters? I'm not sure what you mean, Deb. Not sure. Okay. All right. So what I did was I cut 8 inches of the cord. I'm going to bring you down here. Hopefully. Move this stuff around a bit. I've got all my stuff in front of me on a bead mat. All right. So I'm going to cut 8 inches of the cord on here. Just snip that right off. Cuts real easy. All right, so I have my piece of leather. Now I want to get 5 wraps of this memory wire. Yes, Deb, the wire was 2.5 inches or 2 1/4. If you it's only a 1/4 inch difference, but if you tend to have a little bit larger wrist, you might want to go for the 2.5. All right, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where I get confused. 5, and my memory wire is tangled, of course. That's one of the fun things of working with memory wire. All right, we'll start at this end because it's open. All right. All right, so where I have the cut right here, I want to bring this wire here. Let me see here. I want to cut this or detach this wire, this last wire here, right here. And I'm using memory wire cutters. If you try to use your regular cutters, jewelry jewelry cutters, you're going to ruin them. This memory wire is extremely hard, and it will mark up your regular cutters. It'll ruin them. So you want to make sure these are like $10 or something. It's well worth the investment if you're working with memory wire, or if you have some heavy duty like utility cutters, you can probably get by with that also. So okay, you're not understanding what I'm measuring. The memory wire already comes measured. Okay, it's either 2 1/4 in diameter, the whole roll, or 2.5 in diameter inches. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. All right, so you want 5 of these loops. You want 5 loops of the memory wire. Hi, Gwen. All right. And it doesn't matter how much you're playing around with it, it always gets tangled up. But that doesn't matter right now. Right now, I'm going to thread the leather on here. And you just put that in there, and it gets hung up inside the braided part of the wire. So you just kind of have to muscle it around a little bit. Kind of do the best you can to get this memory wire inserted. I know it looks terrible, and it is, but it's totally doable because you know I did it for a bunch of them. Just takes a few minutes. Just kind of wiggling, jiggling kind of thing to get that wire fed through. And I'm flinging all my beads around. Okay. So I'm just kind of doing the best I can to feed it through. And then at some point, it just kind of goes in a little more easily. I don't know why, but I'm thankful for it that it goes in. I'm trying to put a curved wire into this leather, and it's got all these little places to catch on it as you're putting it in there. All right, now it's getting to the point where, okay, the wire came through. Okay, so that's a relief. That's done. So I thought I would spare you, having to do that, uh, so that I made the kits that were already done, so you didn't have to go through that. Because the first couple ones I did, I thought I was going to rip my hair out because I was just having a real time with them. But as I kept doing them, they got easier. All right, so it's on the wire. Now I'm going to put my end caps on. Just feed that down. Now, this can be tricky because some of these pieces of leather kind of start coming apart on the ends. So what I do is I just kind of push. These caps are really tight, and they don't come in any larger diameter that I've found. I mean, I really looked around to find these, and I finally got them I got them on Etsy, but from a place from Turkey. So they are really exactly the right size. And I had a conversation with the guy that was selling them, and I told him, I didn't want to order these if they weren't going to fit in. This is 5 millimeter leather, and these are 5 millimeter caps. And I said, are they going to make it? And he said, yeah, they really will. And they do, but you have to kind of futz around with it a little bit. All right, now this piece of leather, I don't know if you can see, but this piece of leather is coming apart right here. So that one's going to be a little bit trickier to stick in there, stick the leather in, but we'll get it in. It's just a matter of making sure all those little flaps of leather are going under inside the cap at the same time. You just want to prevent that leather from opening up anymore. Now, I did not find a need to glue these in. They seemed like they stayed in pretty well or they stayed in entirely once I got them in. And then you're going to have the beads pushed up against these, so there's no risk of them coming out. And I just figured if I even put a little bit of glue in there, it would probably squeeze all over the place and get all over the leather. So I didn't really want to do that. So I'm just pushing those on, and they're on. Okay. All right. Are you guys following me so far? So this is where you're at with your kit. You've got your wire with the leather on it already and the end caps. Now what I did with this, and you can move this around as you're putting your beads on. If it's not centered quite right, you can always just kind of push this leather around a little bit and it'll go into place. You want to just keep it centered. All right, let's see here. Okay, so what I did was I started with the seed beads, and most all of you got the little metal pieces that look kind of like a triangle. There was just a few kits that had the little silver donuts in here that I'm using. They both serve the purpose just fine. So I'm going to start by doing 8 seed beads and then a spacer. And I'm going to do, I think, 6 sections like that. So I'm just going to randomly put some seed beads on here, kind of mix up the colors a little bit. There's different sizes mixed in here. I think they're primarily 6s, but there's a few 7s in the mix, and there's a couple. Some kits will have a few cubes in there. It was just, I bought a bunch of strands of the seed beads, and then I came up short, so I added some beads that I had around here. So there's a few differences. So let's see here. So I'll put my series of 8 on here. Doesn't make any difference how you line them up unless you really want to have them a certain pattern, but I don't really think you're going to be able to do that with the mix being so varied. All right, so they're kind of just going to be straggling along here, but I'm going to put at least 6 sets of 8 on here, and then I'll kind of look and see where I'm at. I just have to count what I had on the bracelet. I already did. It was either 6 or 8 sets. But I can't keep everything straight, so basically it's 8 beads and a spacer. 8 beads and a spacer. I mean, honestly, this couldn't be any easier. But I thought maybe I should walk you through all the steps in case you want to make these, a bunch of them, make them as gifts or make them to sell or whatever you want to do. And then you can buy your own supplies. All right, I have 7 there. All right, and then a spacer. The little triangular spacers are slightly thicker than these little silver discs that some of you, I would just say maybe 2 out of all the kits that I made had the little silver spacers on them. So you should have plenty of stuff to complete your, oh, that bead doesn't belong there, to complete your bracelet. You should have leftovers of the seed beads. More than likely, you won't have any leftovers of the tubes. If you do, it's just maybe 1 or 2. But those were harder to come by. A lot of the places, I don't know. I think I ordered 4 different times, and and one time, the last time, I couldn't get the same ones that I ordered. So that's why I got those neutral colored ones, and I hoped for the best. So I totally miscalculated the amount of beads I was going to need for so many. Well, I didn't anticipate getting that many kit orders. So when I initially placed my orders, um, I thought I had enough. Plus, um, the place that I got the spacers said that that the Hanks had between, I want to say, 500 and 600 pieces. And when I got them, I counted them because I was short. I was severely short. Um, and I only got like 350 pieces. So I thought that was kind of crappy. So I had to reorder like a few times. But I got through it. It was just a little bit more calculation than I thought I was going to have to go through. All right, so we're doing 8 sets of beads. The Bolo cord, Jackie, is 8 inches. Okay, it's 8 inches. All right, I tried to make enough color variation to make it interesting, but at the end I was scrambling, trying to get enough variation. But I think I got places from, or I think I bought beads from like 4 different vendors, and it was killing me because sometimes it was like, you have to pay shipping each time you place an order. And I was thinking, if I'd have known how many I needed from the get-go, if I'd have realized that, I could have saved some money, but it is what it is, I guess. All right, so I've got 7. Let's see here. And a spacer. And you can push them all the way up, but they move until you get everything lined up. You can see how that's coming along. All right. Oops. I wish I could make this part go faster, but you just can't. It just takes time to feed these all on here. So I don't know if you're doing yours along with me or if you're just going to watch me and then do the replay, to actually assemble yours. Or you may not even need the replay after you see uh, how simple it is. All right, let's see. So we've got 8 here. And I don't know if you have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it. It's you can probably assemble them however you want. This is how the kit that I bought was constructed. And I will say it again, I had permission from the person who sold the kits to do this. I told her the situation, that I have a Facebook group, and that we were going to do this project if it was okay with her, and she said just go for it. So I don't want to ever step on anybody's toes and copy their work or whatever, or show you how to do something unless I get permission from that person, because it's just downright rude if you don't. So I would never do that without asking first. And surprisingly enough, I have been very fortunate with people that have been just fine with me doing stuff. I've actually never been told, no, I can't do it. So there's that. All right, that's my 5. So there's a lot of fun beads out there. At least Etsy was the best resource that I came across for finding these beads. I'd like to know where they source their stuff from, because if you just do like a general search, Google search or whatever, I've never found half of the neat things that I've found on Etsy. So they must have some secret uh, places that they get their things from. All right, so let's see here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections of 8. All right. And let me see what I had initially on here. So, like I was saying before, the difference in these triangular spacers and the little round ones, they are just the little round ones are ever so slightly thinner than the spacers. So you might end up, if you've got these little round spacers, you might end up having to add a few more beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I actually had 8 little sections of the seed beads. So I'm going to go back to that. Add on, I had 6 here, so I'm going to add on 2 more sections. Let's see here. Um, 6 sets of 8 seed beads. About how many inches is one set? Oh dear. I would say it's probably just over an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter, Suni. I have not checked Shipwreck Beads in a long time. I used to buy a lot of stuff from them. I don't know why. I guess I've kind of forgotten about them and see if they have beads like this. Yeah, I should check them out again, Pat. That's a good idea. Gwen, I'm not sure. Rings and Things did close, but I heard somebody say that they reopened, but I have no idea if that's accurate. So I can check that out easily enough, but I don't think they're, well, I don't know. They weren't around, so I didn't bother to look. All right. And now I just have one more set of 8. I wish I would have put a few more red ones in here. I kind of like those. Just gives it a little extra pop of color. Oh, that's the same color. All right. 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now I'm going to start with my tubes. And you should have a nice mix of colors in your tubes. I do not. I only have a few colored ones left, so I'm just going to use the tan colored ones, or whatever you want to call these, ivory, antique ivory. So I'm going to put a spacer in between each of those tubes. Oh, I did this wrong. Well, I didn't do it wrong. I'm just, what the sequence is now is you put a tube on, and then a spacer, and then a seed bead. Let's see. Put a seed bead on, and then another spacer, and then another tube bead. So it's tube bead, seed bead, it's tube bead, spacer, seed bead, spacer, tube bead, spacer, and on like that. A seed bead between your tubes. Okay. Okay. That breaks it up a little bit, and it looks kind of pretty. Even with the solid color tubes like this, putting the colored seed bead in between kind of gives it a little pop of color. Let's see here. I personally like the little bit fatter seed beads. Those should be 6s. I would think even 5s would look nice with this. 4s might be a little big, but I mean, that's just totally up to you and what you like. Just remember to put those spacers in between the beads. Let's see here. Put some different colors. Yeah, I actually like this, Suni. I didn't try that before, but that actually looks kind of nice. And also, as long as we're talking, there are other colors of leather available that I got. It was the Leather Supply. I think it was just called the Leather Supply Company or something like that on Etsy. But like I said, I'll put the resources out. But It would be nice with different colors of leather too, with maybe the more neutral um, tube beads like that. I guess you could kind of just do whatever. You are the designer. And I like the beads that have stripes on them. There weren't that many of those with the stripes, but I really like the stripy kind of beads. Yeah, this turquoise leather is kind of cool. I just bought, I think it was a couple of feet. I think I bought like 2 feet of a couple of different colors just to see how I liked those colors, and I like them. And they were a really nice company to work with too, because I had questions regarding the hole in the center, because I wanted to make sure that I was buying the right thing. Because oftentimes you buy stuff thinking it's one thing and you get something entirely different, and I didn't want that experience, uh, especially when I'm buying for kits and things, to minimize any mistakes that I probably would make. So I do that often enough. But yeah, I'm really liking this combination. So like I said, I'll give you the name of where I got those too. Oh, I'm sorry you're having trouble with the connection, Deb. Some days are like that, and I haven't really looked at my screen to see um, how this connection is on my end, but I did warn my husband and my kid to stay off of the internet while I was doing this. So I don't know if that really makes a difference or not, but I don't want to take any chances when I'm doing a broadcast if I can help it. All right. So as we get closer to the end, let's see here. I wish I had a few more interesting colors left. All right. Um, so I'm going to stop right here. And what I'm going to do is put on a little piece of tape to keep my beads from falling off, hopefully, while I work on the other end. And then I want to make sure that I'm even on both sides, in the respect that I have the same amount of sections in between. But it works up pretty quick. I mean, it does take time to feed these things on, but it's not difficult. Am I going off screen? I'm sorry. It would be so much better if I could turn my phone horizontally rather than vertically. You would get a bigger picture, but it doesn't work that way. So I guess maybe I was scooting up too far up. Let's see if that's any better. All right, so I'll get my, let's see here. So if there's anything I'm missing here that you have questions about, ask away, because I wanted to try to cover as much as possible on this. I mean, the procedure itself is super simple. It's just a matter of getting all your supplies, so that way you can have some nice variety. These would make great gifts, because Okay, that's 8 right there. And these, again, are another kind of thing that you could work on uh, away from your bench or whatever. You could do this in the evenings or whatever on a tray, on a bead mat. And I've said before, I like to have easy projects that are portable, that I can do anywhere. And this would be one of those. All right. Need some more reds. I think I stuck a fair amount of red in the kits. I'm just working with leftovers here. All right. Put some bright colors on here. What kind of bead mat do I prefer? This is, I think, just like a bead-along bead mat. I don't know if you recall. Of course, I guess it depends on your age group. Um, there used to be blankets. I don't know if they still make them or not, called Velux, and it's this kind of fabric. It has like no nap on it, so it's very smooth, and your beads don't roll off and they don't get stuck. You could use a dish towel, but the nap on the dish towel, there's all those little loopy things, and sometimes if your seed beads are very small, they kind of get lost in all of that. So these little bead-along mats, I believe that's who makes them. Uh, these work out really nicely, and they're again portable. Anyway, my point with the blanket, that Velux blanket, I remember those because we had them uh, years ago. We had those on our beds, and when I first got these bead mats, it's like that's the same material. That's exactly the same material that those blankets were made of. So I should have kept them because these will get ratty over time if you use them a lot. They will get little holes in them or whatever. And that's what happened to the blankets too. Over the years, they get kind of ratty looking. But there were lots of good places on there that I could have cut up had I known to use for these purposes. But back then, I wasn't really doing this kind of stuff either. So that's that. Yeah, the ends, Jackie, are not a big deal at all. They're just basically loops. But the fact that uh, it is memory wire, they're stiff. They're a little stiffer to bend. They do sell little bead caps for memory wire. They look like little 3 millimeter silver balls that just have the one hole, and you glue them in. But I have heard uh, over the years that those aren't very reliable, and they sometimes they pop off. So so that wouldn't really be a good long-term uh, use, for those, because I would be afraid to use them and then have all my beads pop off. So you're right, Jamie. It's an easy thing. It's also great for people who don't want to mess around with clasps. It's great for young people, for kids, to make little projects with. They sell the memory wire in ring sizes and also in necklace sizes. Um, so there's some variety. You can get them on Amazon, or you should be able to find memory wire at any of the local craft stores too. There should be plenty of that to be found. I know my grandson enjoyed making a few things, projects with them. I don't think he ever did anything with them, but maybe for his other grandma, maybe made a bracelet or two, with different size beads. You can make them with chunky beads or whatever. I guess whatever you have or whatever you like. Um, it's a fun project. All right. Yeah, I was eager to get this class done because I know you guys were waiting to do it, and I know a few of the folks that got kits already put theirs together. But I just figured showing you how to do it and talking through some of the things that I discovered while doing them, might be helpful. And then also giving you the resources where you can buy your stuff. Good, Laura. Yeah, I mean, same. I've had memory wire for years that kind of just sat around too, and I was just like uninspired to do anything with it. But when I saw these, I thought this is kind of fun, and you can adapt these, I would think, pretty easily into other things, other combinations, put it that way, of stuff. All right, Deb, you're back? Yeah, that's exactly what I said, Deb. But you know what? The reason, I put the tape on the other end because I want you to be able to change things if you need to. If you went ahead and looped the end, you might find out that you weren't quite even on stuff and you might want to change something out. So putting the tape on the end kind of eliminates an issue with that. But let's see here. But there again, everybody's wrist sizes are different too. So, there's people that are more petite, there's people that have larger bone structure, so I'm not really sure how, they say memory wire one size fits all, but that's not true in everything. When you see clothing that says that, I mean, there's no way in hell that stuff's going to fit. One size is going to fit everybody. It just doesn't happen. At least not in my world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I've got 2 more sets of 8. All right. Yeah, I think we all have tons, tons of beads laying around from other projects. There's always leftovers, um, so that you can definitely figure out ways to use those things up with memory wire. All right, one more left. And I hope that after you assemble yours, that you will post them on the group page so we can all admire yours. They are almost all the same. I can't say that they're that I had 40. No, I think it was 46 kits. I think I said 48 before. I think I had 46 kits that I put together. So, like I said, I had to mix up some beads of my own to kind of stretch things out a little bit. But also, it makes them interesting when they're not all the same. All right, what was that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I've got my 8 sets of 8. Oh, that fell off. Put that back on. I keep inching my way up. I guess I'm too close to the camera. All right, so starting with my tube beads now. A spacer, a tube bead, a seed bead, a spacer. Suckers are just jumping away from me. Another tube bead. Oh, don't forget the spacer. You might want to stop and look at your work, just like everything else. Stop and kind of assess if you are doing the pattern right or if you skip something. Because there's nothing more frustrating than moving right along and then finding out you missed something way far back and you have to remove a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I like these colors as well. I think the multicolor like this is just kind of fun. Um, but there again, having these neutral size tubes, uh, you can play off the beads in between. You can make them a little bit more. Put your color in that area. Oh, I forgot my spacer. See? Oh, I forgot it here too. See? I'm telling you not to stop and look, and then I didn't stop and look. Okay. Because if I know that you've done it just like I have. You do something and you get like 3/4 of the way done, and it's like, oh crap, I forgot a bead like right here, and it's going to be noticeable. So the times that I have let those little mistakes go and not corrected them, I have regretted that to the point where uh, I will stop and just cut everything apart and start over again because it annoyed me so much. So try not to make the mistakes or check your mistakes so that you can correct them easy enough without having to totally redo. Don't be like me. All right. So I think when we're done here, I'm going to order a few more strands of tubes because I have plenty of everything else, and make some different leather colors just for the fun of it. This is also something that you could work on, say, if you do shows and you're sitting there, if you're not terribly busy. Hopefully, we're all very busy when we have a show, but in reality, there's always some dead time or downtime. So I always like to bring a little something to work on, just because I don't sit very well not doing things. that might sound like I never relax. I relax plenty, but I've just found that keeping my hands busy is just really good for me. So that's just me. I'll watch TV and be working on something, and it just drives my husband crazy. It's like, how can you pay attention to the movie if you're doing something? It's like, well, I don't know. It's either that or maybe I'll go in the kitchen and get a whole bunch of stuff to eat, I don't know. You just do what works for you. Okay. That's when I'm at my worst anyway in the evening, uh, as far as snacking goes. It's like that just seems like that's what you're supposed to do when you're watching a movie or whatever. During the day, I can pretty much stay away from those temptations, but at night is when it's like it really grabs a hold of me. All right, we're nearing the end. Let's see. Another red one. You need to keep a little bit at the end for the loop. And that I can't tell you with precision what amount you should keep, but uh, all you need is a loop. And if you have way more wire than you need for a loop, your beads are going to slide around. So you want to try to fill it up as much as you can. Let's do like this, and a spacer, and then I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the end of this and kind of look at everything. Oh, you're right, Suni. Good eyes. Thank you, because I'd be kicking myself later. All right. See, I have to be watched. Can't be trusted. All right. So, all right. So now I kind of want to look at what I did and see where I end up. Now, if you recall, when I cut this wire, my ends that I cut were like here and here, okay? And then the caps for the beads were like in the middle. So my two wires ended up here and here. I don't know how to describe that. But what I'm trying to tell you is after adding all the beads that I've added, I'm way far away from where that cutoff point was. That's not going to really matter, but I would prefer it not to be that way. Because this is going to turn on your wrist also. All bracelets do as you're wearing them, they turn a little bit. So, that's not that bad. Okay, so I've got them on here. I'm okay with the way they've lined up. And now I'm going to make my loop. So I'm just going to take one end over or off of the tape and grab my round nose pliers and make my loop. I'm putting the end of the wire right in the middle of the pliers here. And I'm just going to roll that around till it reaches where I started. All right, that looks pretty good. Now you have a charm that you need to add. Now I just have the one charm. That's how the kit was that I bought, was just one charm. But you could put a charm on both ends if you wanted to, if you have another little charm. And you guys got all the neat charms. I just have a little caca one here. All right, so I'm going to make my loop here again. If I think that I have a little bit too much wire, well, I guess I could put another seed bead on here. That would probably be the right thing to do. You could either do that or you could snip off a little piece of that wire. But again, you would use your memory memory wire cutters for that to snip off any little ends. All right, so I put the wire right in the middle of the pliers and roll that away and bring it right up to the other wire. You see that okay? It's a nice little loop. And then I'm going to open up my jump ring and slip that on the loop. Where are my other pliers? Oh, here they are. Okay. Oh, okay. And then I've got my little dangly on there. Okay. So you just have to wrap one loop around at a time. And Bob's your uncle. So it's all on there. I think, too, with the memory wire, when you're first kind of playing around with it, it seems like it kind of stretches out just a bit, but then it seems to like go back to its regular form again. So at least that's how it seemed like with the ones I've made before. So I have 3 of them here. And I see when I made this one earlier, before the broadcast, I omitted the seed bead in between because I spaced it out. It's not like I was trying to omit it, but I just forgot about it. So thankfully I looked at the the original and then I realized I like the ones with the beads kind of breaking that up just a little bit more. But there's lots of leather choices out there. And like again, I said 5mm leather, Bolo leather with the hole in the middle. So if you don't get it from the leather supply person, um, inquire. Actually, when you're on Etsy, when you buy from Etsy, there's always uh, a space where you can contact the seller. And anytime you have a question about stuff like that before you purchase, it's a good idea to contact the seller. They generally get back to you within 24 hours. That's been my experience when I've had questions. And that way you're sure, just be clear on what you're looking for. So that way you receive the thing that you really wanted. I don't know if they would take back returns if they've already cut the leather. I've not had that experience, but I would rather, ask my questions before I place an order and then make sure that I'm getting the right things. But like I said, I will list all of these places that I bought the supplies for our kits at. So if you enjoy doing this, um, sorry about that. So if you enjoy doing this, you can make additional bracelet kits. So you could probably, I'm sure you could make a choker like that with the memory wire, uh, the neck wire, or a little ring. I guess the possibilities, I guess there's plenty of possibilities. I don't know about a ring for this. That might not feel good in between your fingers, but I'm just trying to say that there are other options if you think about it a little bit that you might come up with that are kind of fun. So it was an easy peasy demo for today, and I thank you for your support in getting the kits. And I may do something else with kits eventually, from time to time. I don't mind doing them. I kind of enjoy uh, making all the different kits if I can find the supplies. That's really the key thing, is finding the things that you need. Um, One of the upcoming demos will be one of these spiral necklaces. Not a necklace. I'm going to make a bracelet for the demo. This will be one of the things coming up. These were, and I think I mentioned it before in another demo. These were little Chinese crystals that I found several years back at different trade shows, and they were Chinese. They're Chinese crystals. They're inexpensive. They still sell tons and tons, but not this color. Go figure. This was like my favorite. These are two different colors. One is sort of like a cobalt uh, with a AB finish on it, and the other one is like a light sapphire or an Indian sapphire, I would say, color. And it's like a little two-tone thing. I know the darker crystal kind of takes over, the look of it, but there's two different colors in here. If I could find another complementary uh, combination, then I might offer kits on doing one of these, and then we could do the actual demo of it, together. This would take longer than the demo would take, but by the time the demo would be over, you would understand what you're doing. So at least you should, or you can always replay the demo tapes, or videos, so you can kind of go over and over the instructions. So I'm trying to source uh, these crystals, and if I do, then I'll offer kits for this if there's, um, uh, you know, if there's want for it. If people want them, then I will do that. Also, that little cha-cha bracelet that I showed, uh, I wouldn't mind doing that if I can source all the check uh, flowers and different things that I need to make those things too. See, I have one on, but these are fun. So, Gwen, did you complete it while we're doing the demo? Because that'd be great if you did. Yeah, I mean, these are simple things. These are not complicated, complex uh, projects, that you need days to finish or whatever and lose your mind. They're pretty simple. Oh, good, good. Gwen posted her pick already. All right, so I'm going to go and I will list the resources of where you can buy all this stuff, and I guess go from there. And I haven't decided, like I said, what I'm going to do next time, but I also kind of want to talk about tumblers. I've been getting some information together for that to do a demo on the different kind of tumblers that I use and the media. So maybe I'll go for that next in 2 weeks and see how that's doing. So thanks for watching me. I always enjoy having the company. We had a nice group here today, and post your stuff. See you later. Bye bye.